Hello, this is Q storytelling moved from IG Live to Zoom after we had extreme technical difficulties on IG Live that failed us today. But it is okay. We have John Ong and Dr. Kim Liu and Noelle Blanco. I am host for Q Storytelling with NAAAP Pride. We are recording this as a hard pivot again, and we do have some folks with us joining. So thank you so much for following the craziness of IG Live to Zoom. And this is like I said in the description, this is a casual fireside chat for many of you joining. It's probably pretty late over there. So thank you so much for joining. I hope this this video and this event finds you in a time where, you know, hopefully you're done with your day, you're relaxed, you're enjoying Pride Month, you have, you know, ready to celebrate, to rejoice, to join this community. I had already told John and Kim that we are going to be talking about our favorite Pride stories, Pride Month stories, and sharing some of our memories with a focus on this group of three. We will also get into kind of like where this team is feeling Pride Month is right now. So it might get a little heavy. We'll see where it goes. Mostly it's just to contribute and be a part of this amazing queer API community. So thank you so much for joining. If you do have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll do our best to address them. But what I want to start off first is, I already said your names, but if you want to do like a quick intro of my advisory board team for NAAAP Pride, I'll let Miss Dr. Kim go first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Kim Liu. I am NAAAP Miami, and I'm currently in Miami. I've been part of NAAAP Pride since the very beginning. Used to be the only female. Now I have Noelle, so I'm not the only one. I'm very happy to be here. Really looking forward to talk to all of you, share our story, connect again. I have missed you guys. It's really good to see you.
Hi, I'm John. I'm from Kansas City, NAAAP Kansas City, and also part of NAAAP Pride. I'm super excited to join you all for a great conversation, real, fun, maybe a little bit serious at points, but that's why we're here. We need to make it loud so that we can be proud. So yeah, let's get this going.
All right. Because I'm an over planner, I just added the link.
You just what?
For now on the NAAAP Pride events page, I just added the Zoom link there. But regardless, we're recording, so I will let John's genius put it on the somehow.
Yes.
And we can always do a part 2 if needed. So yeah, let's get going. So again, this is more of like a casual thing, but I do want to start by just asking each one of you, how is your Pride Month going so far? And what are you looking forward to this Pride Month? Let's say traditionally Pride Month being June. John's thinking. Kim, do you have an answer?
This will be my second Pride Month because we celebrate in April in Miami Beach. So this year it'll be different because my dad actually is visiting from Taiwan. So I'm very excited. I get to celebrate Father's Day and Pride with him. I don't think I've ever celebrated Pride with my dad. So I'm very, very excited about what this is going to look like. It's been 4 years since I've seen him. So that's part of Pride this year that's different. I feel like there's a lot of things going on right now in Florida. So up till a week ago, it was like Pride wasn't a celebratory thing. We're being mostly on survival mode. I don't know if you guys know about all these laws and regulations happening over here. So it's been one battle after another. So even though like one of the laws that affects me is okay, but there's still so many other laws that are not. So as a community right now down here, everybody's very scared, and I don't feel like it's as celebratory as past years. Or not as April, for example, when we had Miami Beach Pride. This year was, I believe, was 10-year of Miami Beach Pride, and it was a whole month celebration. So back in April, things were a lot more lively and people were excited. But now that it's June, it's only been 2 months, but because of all these laws and regulations, a lot of things are at stake, and a lot of people are leaving. A lot of people are not able to leave, and everybody's just trying to figure out how safe is it for us to be loud and proud right now. But I think it's still important. It's still important to show up. It's still important to let the community know that regardless of what might be going on in terms of laws and regulations, we're still family and we're still there for each other. And you know, there's strength in numbers, right? So that's my 2 cents about Pride Month right now for me in a larger scale.
Yeah, I hear you. I echo your sentiment. It's not just in Florida. I think it's for queer community all over the country, all over the world. Sometimes you get reminded, and it is unfortunately. I felt like the Pride celebratory mood has been robbed from certain group of people who are making this an issue, and it is probably even more important for those of us who, I always say, not everybody is able to celebrate Pride publicly, and for those of us who can and choose to, this is the reason why we have Pride, right? We keep getting attacked, and when things are getting a little bit better, and people even within the queer community wonders, do we still need to celebrate Pride? And this is why in year 2023, suddenly our community is being attacked left and right again, and therefore, yes, we need to remind ourselves we have our community, to pull strength from each other, and also to be of support for each other, and at the same time remind the world that we are still here and we are still fighting the fight to exist. They try this and they try that to villainize us, try to make it scary for the hopes of shutting us down, and also not erasing us. So if they don't teach people about us, and they make it very difficult by law that we can exist, then we will then hope that we would go back into hiding, and therefore erase us again. We're not going to do that. So that is why we need to, despite the frustration, those of us who have the luxury of being able to come out and celebrate, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's stick it in their face. We should celebrate more and be louder. So that's what it is this year. For me, it's not just celebrating, but now celebrating with a purpose. Even myself, I agree. There were times they were like, it's Pride Month again. Once a year you get into like, oh, woohoo. And now I got a fresh reminder that is the reason why we need to celebrate Pride, is because we are constantly being attacked. And there are some years that's like, we think it's fine, but it's not. So yeah, we'll celebrate it loudly. Even louder.
Yeah, to add to that, I think location surprisingly, not surprisingly, makes a difference, right? I mean, we got some extremes here. I mean, for those of you that are familiar, and I hope you all are, if not, welcome to our hell. Sorry. But Kim, you're in Florida, John, you're in Kansas City, and then I'm in the Bay Area. So we're just like spread across the country. And I've always been really proud to be from a very liberal area that's very diverse. But I joined NAAAP in like late 2021. So it's been almost 2 years for me now. And then Pride just as long. But I have felt the magnitude of the I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say hatred, because it's not all hatred. It's like the magnitude of like how much I took for granted that the Bay Area is so diverse, because I have seen and experienced and heard from good friends and family, like the most diverse area of the Bay Area is being attacked. And it's, I mean, Stonewall's from San Francisco. Like, we're a very queer area and we are being targeted here. So, God, I got heavy so fast, but it's the truth. Like, you know, it's just, it really is, it's unbelievable, I guess, is the best way I can say it. I'm still struggling with it so much. And there's this like dichotomy of like, I'm so excited to be celebrating Pride with y'all and with all the amazing community. And obviously I've organized all these events, and David on the call knows too, that like, it's been such a rewarding experience being able to like utilize our platform and get our community together. But then there's this whole other side where I'm like, my community, Asians and queer Asians and people of color, queer people, like they are literally being attacked worse than ever. And all of these laws and bills that are being talked about, like they compound in your brain. And whether or not, you know, you want to see it, it's on your Instagram, it's on your Facebook. Even if you don't follow that, if you follow news, like you're hearing it and you're experiencing it first or second hand, and then you're going out into the world with all of that weighing on you. And whether you're a queer API identifying person or a person that doesn't understand or wants to understand more about the community and you don't know where you stand on it, or you're against the community, it's not one or the other. Like it's very confusing, and it's a lot of information coming at us that it's like you do want to celebrate, and then for people like us, I don't know about y'all with Pride memories, you have all these like great memories of celebrating Pride, and then it's mixed in with like, oh, but can I do that this year? I won't even go out to the city right now. I'm way too scared. Honestly, I'm way too scared to go out to the city. I'm planning some events with the San Jose team, but I'm not in the Castro. I cannot go to that area. I am way too afraid, and I don't want to bring my friends there. So that's the reality of how I feel about Pride Month this month.
And
So
I want to add to that on the for somebody, for me at least, I shouldn't say like I'm not super old, but I am older with amongst the three of us. This fear of being publicly out is not something new, and it is the reason why we celebrate Pride. And it is, again, we have to remind ourselves all the progress that we have made. The progress came from the queer generations before us that could make us feel more comfortable doing this. So I definitely, until now, being able to publicly say that I'm gay and admit that taking that slight chance of being attacked physically is still there. And that's why Pride is there to recognize. At some point, you know, when things were a little calmer, it almost feels like it's all celebration and just embrace yourself. But I think at the root of why we celebrate Pride is to be visible to the people outside of a community. Because when people know that I am gay, they would look at attacking or supporting a bill that attack us differently. And so I think celebrating that has a bit of a hope that we will touch people by just being out there celebrating Pride. And, you know, the parade and all that used to be because we were so oppressed in the queer history that just expressing ourselves one day or you know, during the Pride parade is the feeling of liberation, you know. And then suddenly we get to experience living in, you know, with a neighborhood that is gay friendly and queer friendly, companies that support our existence, our embrace our identity. And then suddenly, you know, this year we're being slapped by all this attack from I think it's politicized. My personal opinion is it's being politicized, and therefore, yes, it is hate, but there is also lack of knowledge, lack of information, and fear. So all those things combined, it makes it worse for us. And therefore, me going into this year is I struggle with it too. Like you said, the dichotomy. Do you celebrate? How do you celebrate when all of us are being attacked, especially the trans community? And therefore, it makes it harder. But here's the thing: I have to remind myself too. The reason why they do all that attack, when I say they, like all the bills and people attacking on comments on whenever they see like the fact that Target sells Pride products, that kind of stuff, it becomes that intention is to shut us up, push us down, and then push us back into hiding, and then we don't exist anymore. And therefore, the celebration is even more crucial because we need to be out there and let them know that we exist and we are contributing to the society, and also let them know that we're not going to push down this time.
That's a really good point, and I appreciate that remark. That like counter to what I was saying, kind of like balance it out, because I agree.
Yeah, and what you're experiencing is it's totally legit. But you know, because I have some perspective because I lived through that fear when I was younger, right before I came out, or right when I was coming out. I lived through that fear. Then it went away because things got a little better, and then it came back.
I think it's a different because you have experienced that, right? You have experienced that. I think it probably was a very extreme fear, because I recall also when I was younger and being in countries where my dad could have lost his job, or my family could have lost their job, like I remember that fear. And so I can imagine like that fear, and then feeling liberated to being able to get married. And now like the fear is coming back again. And then there was also polls, right? So it's like every year there's something. It's like we're happy, we're good, our life is better, and boom, we get hit with something. And then okay, everything is good, it's getting better, and we get hit again. Um and like going back to what you were saying, Noelle, like I've been recently talking to a friend of mine that she's queer, she's API, and also Black Asian like me, and we were talking about that, and she is very afraid. And she told me like I have never been able to celebrate Pride, and she lives here. Like and I mean, before this year, Miami used to be pretty safe for our community to be out and about. And so she's been here most of her life, and she's been in Hong Kong and in Jamaica. And it's like to hear her say that she has never felt safe enough to celebrate Pride. Like it really hurts my heart to hear someone say that lives in the same city that I am and shares a lot of the same cultural background that I do. Then I can only imagine like you're feeling that fear too, Noelle, and you're out of the three states that we're from. You're in the one that is the most liberal, and you're feeling that way too, and that really sucks. Like, why is it that we are in a country compared to a lot of other countries, that we should have some protection, we should have the freedom, um, and we're still feeling that fear, right? Like I remember a couple years ago, I was traveling with my partner at the time, and we were going to Maldives, and we're stopping by Dubai, and I have been so spoiled in a sense of being in the US that I have forgotten that we could have been thrown in jail or been killed for traveling to those countries because we're queer. Um, and I truly have forgotten about it. And I remember my partner at the time, she was like, Kim, like we are multiracial, multicultural, very queer looking, like, and we're going to two Muslim countries. Like, are we gonna be okay? Do we need to pretend that we're sisters or friends, or, like how truthful can we be ourselves when traveling to those places? And those are things that as I'm traveling again internationally, like I have to remember now I have to check, like, okay, is this, all those travel advisories, this is safe for me as a queer person um, to travel, and how loud and how proud can I be, or how much do I have to hide part of who I am? Um, I during the pandemic, there was a lot of other things that we're dealing with. So I wasn't thinking about that as much, but I've been traveling internationally since September. And some of the places I've been to is like no problem whatsoever. And other places that I thought would be fine, and there were some issues. Like one of the places I felt a little bit strange was Madrid. And I've always been fine in Madrid. And all of a sudden it's like people are looking at me walking on the streets, walking, hand in hand with my partner. And it's like, I didn't have that issue a couple of years ago. And I don't know if it's a pandemic thing. I don't know if it's because we're queer. I don't know if it's because I'm Asian. I mean, there's so many reasons why people are looking at me weird. Like, I don't even know which one it is. Um, but I just feel like I think the fear probably would always be there. Um, and of course, we always have to be safe and check our surroundings. But at the same time, I agree with what you said, John. Like, it's so important for us that are able to show up as we are to still do it for those that cannot. Because I can only imagine like all those people like Russia, China, all the Muslim countries that they really cannot at all. Like they'll get thrown in jail, they can get killed, like so many different things. Like it was it really was a good reminder when you start sharing that, John, because part of me forgot about that. Like part of me was like just thinking about how much it sucks right now for our community down here. So much of my friends are, losing their jobs for the Don't Say Gay bill, and might lose their children because of being trans, or their kids being trans, might, like all these things that we've been hearing about it constantly, daily, and I have forgotten about that part. Like, regardless of all the things that we're going through, and yes, the fear is still there, we still have a bit more freedom than other people. And, I think it's really important to be loud and proud. Not only this month, like all year round, but definitely this month, and be able to do it for those that cannot. Like I have truly forgotten about that. So thank you for the reminder. It was so important.
The fear that and again, I've lived through this, but I just shared with David recently that for the first time, my being queer, the worry of me being physically attacked for being queer has resurfaced this year. And it is the same fear that I felt at the beginning of the pandemic when I would go out as an Asian looking. I mean, I had Chinese heritage, so I mean, those people are gonna beat me. Probably won't know what my heritage is, but I look like what they think is the cause of the pandemic, and I was seriously afraid of my safety when I go out. I felt that in early 2020, throughout 2020, or yeah, maybe even a little bit of 21. But being gay, that same fear hit me this time because I've seen places, like you said, Noelle, places, areas, neighborhood that you thought is a safe space for us. And then you hear all this really hateful or misinformed comments. And that really got me worried for the first time since for a while. So I hear y'all.
I'm going to add something and then I'm going to shift. So to add to everything that you're saying, and this is going to go hopefully perfectly into the segue I'm going to get to, which is to add to like what you just said, John, pride, any pride celebration, or like I've been to so many gay clubs and not just in this city, but like all around. And I always felt like I wasn't as, and I don't wear my, so let me comment. I don't wear my queerness outside as much, sometimes because on purpose. Most of the time I don't realize that I know that I don't look look as queer. I don't like, I'm wearing like a little quirky bisexual shirt right now, but like I don't do that every day. Like I don't show that I am part of the community as much as I'd like to, or as much as, you know, it's obvious to me. So in a sense, I have a privilege to be able to hide my queerness if I choose to do so. That being said, I still don't feel as safe emotionally outside world as I feel safe in a gay club, having fun dancing. As a cisgendered woman, I don't feel comfortable in like straight clubs. I mean, I had at one point, but not like the same as being in a gay club where I really just felt like I could be me, I could be loud, I could be proud, I could be weird, I could wear really crazy stuff. And I always felt really comfortable and very, very excited to celebrate, like whoever you are. I mean, I felt very queer and very like weird as queer like was reclaimed, right? Like I felt like it was totally fine to be weird. And I could just really enjoy myself in gay clubs in that safe space. I'm not going to comment how I don't feel that way right now, but I'm to the conversation where share hard shift, John and Kim, can you share with us a great memory of Pride Month, Pride celebration? Doesn't even have to be June, but like a Pride specific theme events memory, just something to like, if anyone hasn't experienced Pride like your friend Kim, let's give them hope. Let's give them hope and share some good stories, because it's I'm sure we have great stories. So who wants to go first?
I would say like a very memorable Pride celebration I have is it was 2021, Pride of 2021. That year, usually we have Pride here in April, but that year was in September. Um, and it was a like I don't remember partying this way, not even in college. Like it started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was like all day. It was I got to participate in all the different events. I actually drank and had fun and danced, and I was there with my wife and with my best friend, and I met so many people from so many places. And I think part of it also was like, shifting out of the pandemic, because we were on lockdown most of 2020. And even though I was still working, I didn't get to socialize outside of work. So that was the one of the first event during the pandemic that I was able to go and truly enjoy and celebrate. And met so many people from all over the world. And it was just so amazing too. There was also like a lesbian event, and I don't know how it is in California or in Kansas, but in Miami, usually there's not a lot of lesbian events. Now there's a bit more, but historically there's more gay events than lesbian events. So there was actually a lesbian event for Pride that year that it was very nice. Like we had drummers, we had dancers, we had like everybody was just there celebrating, connecting. I met so many friends from that event. There was a couple that was visiting from Maryland, I think. There was another couple from New York, just like so many people from all over, and it felt safe. Like it felt safe, it felt fun. Um, we got to be ourselves. I didn't have to worry about how I look, like how I present, like because like same as what John said, like during the pandemic, I went through a lot of discrimination for being Asian, for being a woman, I guess, for being a doctor. I don't know what the real reason I was being discriminated for, but it was a lot of that. It was a lot of that. So to be able to be in a place where I could just not worry about whether I'm wearing a mask or not, like what do I have what the dress on, it was just pride. It was just celebration. It was connection. So that's been an amazing memory that I hold very dear to my heart. It's just like the combination of things, I feel like getting out of the pandemic or connecting with people. And yeah, it was a really beautiful memory. And I do hope that future ones continue to be like that, in which we can feel safe in our community, where we can just connect with other people and not worry about what we look like, where we came from, what do we call ourselves, what label we have. Like none of that matter. It's just we're one big happy community, and it's just it's about celebration. It's about being loud and proud, and just let go and let loose, and it's okay. There's no problem for doing that. No judgment for doing that. That's like a beautiful memory I wanted to share with you guys. Like I still remember that.
My comment real quick before John goes. I just want to say, Kim, the reason why you probably get a lot of discrimination is because you have such significant identities. You are a powerful individual with so many sectionalities that, of course, they're going to try to discriminate against you because you have so many things to be proud of. I just want to say that to my friends.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Okay, so my experience, I think so. I've never really been a huge party person, just me personally, right? So, Pride Month has mostly always been about embracing yourself comfortably at an individual level and then radiate that out to people outside of me. So, I do I need to do it only in June? Obviously not. But it's a good reminder for me to think, you know what? You should be so you should be really, again, out and loud about my being out. But I have to say, so with that in mind, not a party person. I don't really go to bars and have fun that way. But I have to say there was my memorable moment of being in a space that I feel like I can be proud of who I am, and is in a professional setting. I interviewed for a job, and when I went to the company, and not only did they indicate to me that they are embracing of my culture, that includes my being ethnically Chinese, and then when grew up in Malaysia, was born in Malaysia. So they encourage that. It's like really appreciate my background, the rich background, including my being gay. And what they say is that gives me the amalgamation of my background becomes a richness that they appreciate if I were to join the company. And so in that sense, in a job interview, I felt that pride and that safeness of being able to be who I am, and that was one of the highlights. Other than the whole coming out to myself and subsequently to my family, which is very important, especially Asians. We know that and I think it's important for everybody, but particularly Asians with the connection with the family. I would like to be able to share that. So all those are important, but as if professionally, that was during that interview, I felt like, oh my gosh, I could totally. It was not June, but I could totally, stand up and have confetti and rainbow flag flying, because I felt my queerness was seen and acknowledged and celebrated. And it is really rare that I felt that way. It's been a while. When I interviewed for the job was 12 years ago. So it really felt good. And therefore, going back, kind of looping back to the whole companies, Target and Anheuser-Busch and all that, being attacked, and there are many other companies being attacked by a certain group of people. That's why it is important for companies to stand out and take a stance, because not only does it show that it is important to embrace your employees full self, it also tells the world that it is safe to exist. If they keep their mouth shut, and then certain governments creating bills that attack us directly, it makes us feel small and worthless. And when you hear companies like Apple and all those big companies, like I work for Hallmark, and I'm very proud that Hallmark has a really great employee resource group, and they've always been at the forefront of that. And of course, they're getting attacked. We post the Pride Month post, and then you could look at the comments. Everyone's like, "Oh, you joined the blah blah, drink the Kool-Aid." It's like, no, Hallmark's been doing this for years, and it's just suddenly, you're because for whatever politicians making use of our existence as a tool for their gain, suddenly that is being attacked. So I think it's important for corporate America to stand up against stupid laws like this that discriminate against us, because there is social responsibility as well if the government's not doing it. But woohoo! I was very proud that I get to feel, frankly, I feel more comfortable being out at work than it is like shopping somewhere. So that's to be commended for companies and corporations and people and entities that support the queer community.
Thank you, John, for sharing. And that's significant too, like having a company that supports you, you feel comfortable in. I mean, there's a lot to be said about, companies that say they do that, but don't actually, or just don't say anything and, remove themselves from the conversation, which a lot of companies do as well, which I almost personally rather prefer. Like, just don't say anything. Don't like say you're going to and then not. It's like way more like unsafe. So, that's awesome, John. And thank you for sharing that. And I think that does kind of, give hope to people that, especially like people that are, we've talked about this before, on National Coming Out Day, IJ Lives. Not everyone feels comfortable coming out. They don't know how to. And when we say coming out, that means a bunch of different things, which I won't go into. But let's say at work, if you decide to have that identity at your work, there's a lot of questions, obviously, and your story really supports that there, it is possible, and it's one person's story, but it's important that people know that, like, it does, it may be better than you think. It was definitely better for you, John, because you explained that story before too, where you were totally worried, and it ended up being so much better and working out for you.
Yeah, there is hope, and hope doesn't come just like that, right? Hope comes with work, sweat, blood, and lives. People give up those things so that we can have hope and eventually enjoying the privilege, the luxury that we have. So Pride Month is to remind us of that. The pride that we feel today, we're stepping on shoulders of our people before us who died for it, for us to have this privilege.
Yeah, it really does take a village. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It takes generations for change.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
often, especially like the kind of big changes we're looking for, in the Asian community, in the queer Asian community, in the queer community, all of them, like, they're all so complicated, and it shouldn't be, but it is. It takes so much time and work that generally we don't get to reap the benefits as a community. My hope is that individually, in our, close friend groups and work situations, that we can reap the benefit of the progress in some instances, but you won't really see how much you made an impact for your generation. So,
and, I want to add really quickly, it sounds like a plug. This is a reason why NAAAP Pride exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
NAAAP Pride exists to show you, to share stories like ours, and being not only queer, but Asian, that specific need that nobody can just simply, if you're not from that same background, it's really sometimes hard to imagine the complexities of being queer in an Asian family. And so if you are one of those people and you hear this thing, you watch this thing, and you wanted to find a spot, a space for you to connect with other individuals who share the same background, same struggles, the same fear, and wanting to celebrate together with the people who understand you because we have the same lived experience, NAAAP Pride, that's the reason why we exist. And I think it is important double down on the importance of our existence now when you might feel lonely, isolated, you can't come out to your Asian family for this reason, that reason. We all know you go to like Chinese New Year celebration. Your aunt would say, "When are you getting married?" You know, I'm already married, just to a man. But so I think that's why we do this. You know, that's why it's not like, oh, it's fun. I mean, it is fun. You know, it's fun too. But not just that. It is, we exist so that we claim a spot for ourselves out there, so that a young professional might come across NAAAP Pride through Instagram or whatever it is that we exist. That's why we're here.
Taking space as Asians, as queer.
Yes.
I'm going to start concluding everything with some closing remarks. I will save my story for another time. Like I said in the chat, we will keep the recording. We will post it most likely on our event page. I'll have John help me do that in a bit. And then we could probably do like a part 2 if it works out for everybody, but I will have to test IG Live. So messaged me and said it also asked them for a password for some reason. So we'll have to test IG Live and see if it'll work, and we'll find another space. But going forward, rather than but, we have we have several events coming up. So if you're not already, you're seeing this, if you're part of our audience, if you're not already plugged in, important plug as well, NAAAP Pride is hosting a couple events this month in celebration of Pride. And we're going to I'm going to emphasize one particular event, which is next week around the same time. It'll be 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wait, am I saying that wrong? 7, 4 and 7. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm handling so many events, y'all. We're going to have a panel. It will be on Zoom. And all the information's on our NAAAP Pride Instagram, our website, our events page. That one we are doing RSVPs for. We actually already have like 25, 30 tickets RSVP, which is awesome. And I just want to invite everybody to that event. We will actually be going pretty deep we'll see where it goes, but we're going to go pretty deep into anti-trans legislation, which you heard all of us kind of mention it because it's very prominent in our minds and a lot of people in the LGBTQ community's minds, and hopefully allies too. Like, I hope that everyone's, keeping trans people in their thoughts first and ready to mobilize and advocate. And that's what we're going to be doing at this panel event with the Human Rights Campaign, Skylar Baylor, the National Center for Trans Equality. We'll be going deep into anti-trans legislation. Y'all, there are over 500 bills, across the country. And they are revolting. Like, the language and the depth of these bills are just disgusting. And I can't even tell you how. I can't even go into it because I'll get upset. But we're going to be diving into that. We're going to be addressing some questions, especially for people who want to advocate for the LGBTQ community when people are not present, how we can advocate, how we can safely, speak up for people who are not there and support the community. So it'll be a really amazing event. And then the end of the month, we will also have another which of course Kim and John are invited. We'll be having a community gathering that's really for the community, the queer community, and all of our allies to get together and just kind of recap Pride Month. And as a lot of people feel and have expressed to me, and I myself, you have APIM in May, which is events. Yay, Asian Americans, let's celebrate. And then you go right into Pride, and it's like, yay, Pride, rainbow logos, like exhausted after 2 months. So we're having a community gathering with some performances and some community breakout groups. This one will be pretty good and deep for just detoxing and recapping and work being together as a community. So that'll be the end of the month as well. So please follow us and RSVP for our free events. These are put on by NAAAP Pride with partnership with our sponsor Dow. Thank you for sponsoring our events, and also in partnership with our nonprofits, like I mentioned, and of course NAAP, the National Association of Asian American Professionals. I will conclude our event today and the recording. And I want to thank John and Dr. Kim for joining us. And I want to thank all of y'all for hanging on through the craziness. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the ability to be able to share these stories, and we'll continue to do so and be available and accessible to continue to share these stories in our history and not allow anyone to erase our existence. So
Yay, man to that. Yes.
love y'all. Happy Pride. Please stay
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Enjoy.